by Facebook.
Right.
Answers
Twitter.
on a postcard.
This episode, speaking of that, is made possible by Patreon supporters like Jerry Gomez, who pledged their support at patreon.com/Jason Kabassi. So thank you, Jerry. Jerry's a beloved member of the group. He's been a regular at game nights. He has a lot of puns. He's actually setting up game nights himself. He's a great guy.
He is awesome.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to remind you guys that for as low as $2 a month, you can help support the podcast and, among other things, get ad-free episodes of Walking Dead Cast and also House Podcastica by going to patreon.com/Jason Kabassi. So thanks, everybody. Let's get into it.
Attention, shoppers. Deadcast Top 5 in 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, we'll start off with The Walking Dead. So it's our top 5 highlights for Walking Dead season 11, episode 7, Promises Broken. What'd you think about this one?
Yeah, good. Do you know, weirdly, I liked it more the first time I watched it, but I still liked it well enough the second time round.
What do you think was up with that?
I think the first time round, I loved seeing all the different plots, and I think the second time round, the plots that I cared less about dragged more.
I could see
so
that.
I could have lived without having to watch the Leah and Daryl stuff twice.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, you were in a really bad mood the second time. Just kidding. No, I could totally see that because I was like, oh, cool. They're actually throwing in all these different plot lines at once. Awesome. So now we don't have to do without the ones that we really like. But then second time through, we're like, but can't we just have those?
Yes. Yeah. I was like, this is really great. I feel like the first time I watched it, I thought, oh, wow, there's so much in this. And then the second time I was like, yeah, there's a lot in this. Some of it is more important than others.
Yeah.
And I
felt the same, I think. I felt the same, although I did like the parts that I care about better the second time. But yeah, I think I felt exactly the same as you. All right, let's get into it.
Cool.
What's your number 5?
Number 5 for me, we have met Sebastian Milton, and he is the worst.
He's basically the Joffrey of The Walking Dead.
He is horrific, and I love it. I
Me
love
too.
that he's like an awful 80s preppy kid from a John Hughes movie.
He looks like he's ready to play some croquet on the South Lawn or something.
They just nailed it, didn't they? Like, he is so ready to play croquet. He is the most odious little twat, and I just loved it because I thought, you know, one of the things that's so great about the Commonwealth storyline is it really sends up how stupid and menial a lot of the things that we worry about on a day-to-day basis are. So, you know, you've got Yumiko, who's like been fighting for her life tooth and nail and is suddenly back in this like fellow Harvard grad situation, and Sebastian Milton is just the absolute pinnacle of that because he's been raised in this environment of absolute privilege, and he is just unapologetically an absolute asshole, and I love it. I just love it. So yeah, for me, I just thought that was such a highlight. Just having him come in strong like that, no subtlety to it, perfect.
Yeah, man. I mean, on first seeing him, so this is Pamela Milton's son, and his name isn't mentioned in the episode, but Angela Kang did confirm that it's Sebastian in the show too, like it is in the comic. And when I first saw him, I just felt hate. And that's because of something that happens in the comic that I don't want to spoil here. But I guess, yeah, this is one of the things on second watch that I appreciated a lot more because, I mean, yeah, he's the worst. I mean, if you look up the worst in the dictionary, his picture's there. And
he
so,
even like they've scribbled out Virgil and they've put Sebastian in. They're just
right.
like Sebastian's worse than Virgil.
Yeah, definition 2 is Virgil now. Sebastian's the first one. But I just have this long time. I just get tickled when people in shows are super petty and small-minded. Like, I love Seinfeld so much. It's one of my favorite shows, and George Costanza is my favorite character on that show. And I also enjoyed watching Joffrey very much on Game of Thrones, even though he was horrible. I don't know why, and there's a lot of that on TV. There's a lot of people doing petty things, and it just tickles me. Even in like Sopranos, they were super petty sometimes. and I love it. And so it just really tickles me. I mean, he is kind of awful, like literally awful beyond belief, because it's hard to believe that anyone could have someone come in and save his life from these approaching monsters and go, you just disrupted our date. I'm like, really? But it worked. I think it worked pretty well.
I think that whole scene was just so well done because Eugene and Stephanie are smashing it. Like, they're doing so well, and he is just so objectionable. And we've already had that set up with him on his kind of walk amongst the commoners, and to have them sort of that wonderful interaction, which I'm sure was the intro to this episode between him and Eugene, was just so good. But the bit that really got me was when he called Stephanie a stupid bitch. I was like, punch him! And it happened.
And he did.
I was very glad.
It was very satisfying.
But where was Mercer? That's what I want to know. I feel like there's more to that than meets the eye.
Yeah, I have some suspicions about that, but we'll get into it. Yeah, I loved when he called him a tiny little, you don't know who you're talking to right now. Oh, I think I do, and that would be a tiny little man. That made me laugh. One thing about him, he called the zombies rotters, and I'm like, that sounds familiar, so I looked it up, and that's also what the Grady Memorial Hospital people called them, and also I think one of the wolves called them that, so I guess it's just a coincidence that some people pick the same names.
Why do you think Lance sent Eugene up there? Do you think it was deliberate, or do you think it was just happenstance?
Oh, I think it was totally deliberate. I have a whole point about that.
Amazing.
But
okay,
I don't want to
great,
do that
great.
one first, because I really want to focus on. Can I do my number 5?
Because you've got class, and I just went straight in with Sebastian Milton like a plebeian.
Plebeian, is that even? You don't say it like that, right? It's plebeian. I thought. Maybe I'm a plebeian.
Oh, plebeian in the plebeian in the UK. I don't know. I've always said plebeian. I mean, I don't use it day to day. It's not a common word
yes,
for
do.
me, but when
Come
I
on.
use it, every day I'm like plebeian, out of my way. You go for it. Go for
plebeian
it. Number
over there,
5.
Plebeian over here.
Plebeian number 1. Plebeian number 2.
No. It's only just because I really want to talk about Negan so much.
Oh my goodness. Well, he's one of mine as well. So let's hit it up. Let's do it.
So Negan's trying to find commonality with Maggie, and she lost her community to the Reapers. He lost his to Rick and her, really. And she's defending herself. There were no children at the satellite station, no families, which is what she's talking about when they killed them in their sleep, which is something we've all been critical of them, I think, of. And Negan says, well, then where did Aaron get Gracie? And I'm like, well, not at the satellite station. That was during the war, but still, I guess his point, he says later that he goes, look, all I'm saying is that I remember when my home was invaded and my people were killed. Those men, they had friends, they had girlfriends, people that felt lost that I couldn't heal. And I had to explain to them why their leader failed to protect them. And I totally get that. I mean, I felt it in a new way, though, when he was saying that, like, he had to go back and be like, a bunch of, I've been preaching this whole thing about how we're the saviors, but these other group just killed a bunch of your friends. And so I totally get why they would want revenge, just like Carol wanted revenge against the Whispers when Alpha put her son's head on a pike and other friends of theirs. And I always thought it was horrible that what Rick and everybody did at the Savior Outpost. And I kept saying there's probably some good people in there just stuck in a bad situation and stuff like that. I'm sure some of his people probably weren't even satisfied with Negan only killing Abraham and Glenn. They probably thought he was showing restraint. And Rick's people were probably lucky that he didn't kill all of them. I mean, that was part of his MO to just, he wanted to dominate, he didn't want to wipe him out like Simon. He wanted to show them he was boss so that he could, use them for their supplies and everything. But still, I bet some people were like, hey, you should just kill them all. But Negan's the one who put his people in the situation where they'd have people coming after them because he chose to have them go around and terrorize communities. And I'm like, dude, what do you expect? Like, what do you guys all expect? If you try going around a playground every day as a kid and taking half of people's lunch money and smacking them around to keep them in their place, eventually you're going to get your ass kicked. You're asking for it, And that part didn't really come up in the conversation with Maggie. And I see people going, oh yeah, Negan's got such good points, but I just think it's so bullshit for him to try to take the high road. Like everything he did was just to protect his people. And so I mention it a lot, but I want to go through some of the things that he did early on. He like the first encounter that we had with Negan was when it wasn't Negan, it was the Saviors shot at Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham for no reason. And then Daryl meets Dwight, Sherry, and Tina, first appearance of Dwight. They're running from the Saviors. The Saviors are chasing after them in part because they took insulin for Tina, who's diabetic. And the Saviors had this system where they worked for points in exchange for supplies, and insulin cost a lot. And Tina fell behind on her points. And so she was unable to buy more of it. And, she could die if she doesn't have it. So she would die. So Negan offered to marry her in exchange for no longer needing to earn the points. So she'd always have access to her medication. And after she said she would consider his proposal, they took off with it. And to me, it's like, well, here, I'll play him explaining what happened. I have some clips here.
There, he worked for points. Him and his super hot wife and her super hot sister. But see, sis, she needed meds.
Talking about Dwight.
And that shit is hard to scavenge, so it costs more. Sis fell behind on points. So I asked her to marry me. Told her I would take care of her in sickness and in health, blah, 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 because I am a stand-up guy. She tells me that she's gonna think about it. Next thing you know, I'm dealing with an orange situation. Dwighty boy here stole all the medication and took off with his super hot wife and my super hot, maybe soon-to-be fiance. So I had to send my guys after him.
So there, I guess you could kind of see, hey, they stole the medication, they didn't pay for it. But the key part is he's basically wanting to force this woman to become his sex slave in exchange for the medicine she needs to stay alive.
Yeah, it's not good.
And that's especially interesting given what we know about his past, where he was desperately searching for chemo meds for his own wife. And now he's going to let this woman die unless she has sex with him.
Yeah, he's off the hook. It's awful. Yeah. Like, he's absolutely reprehensible.
So then, the next encounter is when a group of Saviors stopped Daryl, Abraham, and Sasha in the road, and they demanded they give them all their weapons and said, your property now belongs to Negan. And they didn't, there was they were resisting that, of course. And so the leader of that group, motioned for his people to shoot and kill them. But Daryl had that RPG, so he blew them up. So they were just going to kill them if they didn't agree to give half their stuff to Negan, who didn't even know them at all. And then finally, much like they are now, the Alexandrians were starving and they really needed food. And that's when they met Jesus, Daryl and Rick. And he took them to his community eventually, Hilltop, first appearance of Hilltop. I went back and watched. It was pretty interesting to see the camera pan in on Hilltop in all its majesty after we just saw the destruction of it, recently.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Sad. So Rick and Maggie are trying to make a deal with Hilltop. And while they're there, and Glenn is there too, by the way, two Hilltoppers arrive, just having come back from a mission. So I'm going to play that clip.
Ethan, what happened to everybody else? Where's Tim, Marcia?
They're dead.
Was it Negan?
Yeah.
We had a deal.
You said it wasn't enough. Was the drop light?
No.
They still have Craig.
You said they keep him alive. Return him to us. If I deliver a message to you.
So tell me.
Sorry.
Just hearing the audio, is it pretty clear what was going on there?
Explain.
So
was Gregory fucking stuff up?
They're at Hilltop, and these group of people come back, and Gregory's like, "Where's Marcia and whoever?" Oh, they're dead because Negan killed them because the drop was light. And then they ask Gregory, "Was the drop light?" And he goes, "No," which probably means it was.
Yes.
But still, Negan killed two people because he wanted to steal a certain amount from their community, and they didn't bring enough. Killed two people and captured a third, and sent his brother back to kill the leader of the community in exchange for his brother's freedom. So this is the kind of things Negan's doing. And then I got one more. This same episode, Jesus explains about Negan to Rick and everybody.
Yeah.
We heard the name Negan. A while back, Daryl and Abraham had a run-in with his men. Who is he?
Negan's the head of a group of people he calls the Saviors. As soon as the walls were built, the Saviors showed up. They met with Gregory on behalf of their boss. He made a lot of demands, even more threats. And he killed one of us, Rory. He was 16 years old. He beat him to death, right in front of us. Said we needed to understand right off the bat. Gregory's not exactly good at confrontation. He's not the leader I would have chosen, but he helped make this place what it is, and the people like him.
You made the deal.
Half of everything. Our supplies, our crops, our livestock, it goes to the Saviors.
Well, what do you get in return?
They don't attack this place. They don't kill us.
Why not just kill them?
Most of the people here don't even know how to fight, even if we had ammo.
Well, how many people does Negan have?
We don't know. We've seen groups as big as 20.
Hold up. So they show up, they kill a kid, and you give them half of everything?
So that's what they were
He
dealing with.
killed a kid.
Yeah, killed a kid. And he chose the mobster route.
Mm-hmm.
You know, other people farmed and hunted. He stole and killed. And, you know, come to my house, kill somebody close to me and demand half my stuff. I might not just sit there and take it. You know, Negan's like, you killed my people. Well, don't terrorize my community then, you know. You don't have a harem and iron the faces of the husbands of the women in the harem, you know. And then even after spending years in a cell, he conspires with the Whisperers and blocks off escape routes from Hilltop, leading to Hilltop's destruction. And I mean, and now he doesn't have any remorse. He feels completely justified in everything he did. So how can you not assume he might rationalize doing something similar again? I'm disappointed that Maggie isn't bringing any of this up. She's sitting there being convinced by him and thinking maybe he's changed. Well, maybe he's changed, but you don't know because hasn't shown any remorse and doesn't really seem to have any kind of an understanding of the bad things that he did. Of course, it makes sense after a group kills a lot of your people that you'd want to get revenge, but if you're going to go around doing the kinds of things he was doing, it's inevitable that you're going to have people coming after you, you know? That's how I see it.
Of course, but like narcissistic, power-hungry people don't see it that way, do they? They see it as their God-given right to do things. I didn't read it as her being convinced by him, though.
No, I know. But yeah, I guess you're right, yeah.
I did actually like that scene because I liked that Negan wasn't repentant. I think that was truer to his character than if he'd been
absolutely.
like, yeah, I never would have killed Glenn. I'm so sorry I did it. I'd have been pissed because I'd have been like, well, actually, screw that because that's not Negan. But it's interesting to me listening to the clips is like, yeah, they've really toned him down. Or he's really toned down. It doesn't make what he did forgivable at all, but it's interesting to listen to how unhinged he sounds there compared to how he's playing it now.
I mean, I think he has changed. I don't think
he convinced you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he would go around forcing people to be his wife in exchange for insulin medicine at this point. But I don't know because he hasn't shown that remorse, you know, and he doesn't seem to have an understanding of what he did. But based on the kinds of thing he's been doing lately, I mean, I don't know. There's that whole Whisper thing that still gets me. Like, I don't usually talk a lot about the comics in this section, but I'll say in the comics, Negan starts off just as bad as he was in the show and kills Glenn with his bat. But by this point in the story, he is remorseful and he does change his ways. He doesn't betray them with the Whisperers. And I love that story. And I'm totally on Negan's side. And by the way, they still banish him in the comics, even though he shows remorse because of what he did before. But I just, I was more on his side. So what kills me is, and everybody, you're welcome to your opinions, but it just when people start to get convinced that, oh yeah, he was totally justified in everything he did. If you'd seen it from his point of view, then you would sympathize with him. That's what gets me. Like, I don't think so.
No, I don't think I would go as far as to say you'd sympathize with him. I think it's I think there's merit to thinking about stories from the other perspective.
Absolutely.
Because it's interesting, and that's what makes for interesting storytelling, is saying like, well, actually, if you follow this person, it's a different perspective. But yeah, I don't think it makes it at all forgivable or at all understandable. But I still think that the satellite attack, I mean, you know my thoughts on this. I think the satellite attack was awful. Like, I just don't. Yeah,
and I'm not saying it's you, by the way. I'm just saying people have read out there some of the,
in the many emails I send you when we're not recording, talking about how much I love Negan, which you get 5 of a day from me. I think it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's messed up. It's all messed up stuff. And I think what Negan's getting at in that scene is like, kind of reminding Maggie that there's blood on her hands as well, but it's not blood of the same color or the same, it's not the same thing. He's done much, much worse stuff, so it kind of falls flat in that sense.
He's trying to justify himself, though. He's saying the world's different now, and I did what I needed to do to protect my people. And that's where I think, at least in part, he's full of shit, because our group learned how to farm and hunt, and his group became mobsters. I mean, the part about killing Glenn and Abraham in retaliation, maybe I could see, and also the part about how it hurt the surviving saviors when they found out their friends and family members died, I can totally get that. But the part about where he's just justifying everything he did and not showing any remorse about any of it, I think is bullshit.
I read The World is Different Now differently. I heard that as from the time when he was in charge of the Saviors, things are different. Because he then goes on to say to Maggie, like, fewer people to kill, fewer people to fight for, fewer people to fight with, fewer things to fight over. And I kind of read that as him reflecting on, since the Savior's time, things are now different, and that's why he's no longer taking that stance. It's not to do with remorse, it's to do with the fact that that kind of operation wouldn't work now. You need other people.
I was wondering about that, but all said and done, I read it as post ZA and that him justifying the kinds of things that he did back then.
See, yeah, I think it's funny because we have both read that scene quite differently, because I really read it as not so much justification as just kind of, I don't know. I mean, there was a bit of justification, but it didn't feel to me like he was looking for... When you justify something, I think you care what the other person thinks. And I'm not convinced he actually cares what Maggie thinks. I think he just wants her to not kill him.
Well, yeah, he's trying to convince her not to kill him, so he cares in that sense. And he's trying to equate the two of them. And he's trying to make her think that it's understandable what he did. I don't know. I don't know. I just, I do think that he's trying to, he's not like, he's not showing any remorse for any of it.
No, and I'm glad that he's not, because I don't think that would be him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
If
like
he was smart,
comic,
he would. If he was smart, he would pretend. But he's not.
But
he's
no,
Negan.
no. When he said, "Yeah, I would do something differently. I would kill all of you," I thought that was great writing. I really did.
Yeah.
But I,
and also legit. Yeah, he should have.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? From his perspective,
oh, yeah,
he absolutely should have done that.
Yeah, and the Reapers are trying to hunt them all down and kill them, and that's sort of what if story. What if they're like the saviors who did that, who decided to kill everyone so they wouldn't come back and get them. But in the comics, you said you don't think it would play well if he just said, "Yeah, I'm really sorry that I did that. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have killed Glenn." In the comics, I think he is sorry. I don't know, but I don't know if he says that, but he shows it. He shows that he's changed. That he's now going to be, I don't know. It seems like the show has, as you said, tried to soften Negan. And so now when they're showing him trying to get this understanding, he's coming from that place of the softer Negan that's won a lot of the viewers over, and trying to get Maggie to come over to where a lot of the viewers are. But I feel like the viewers have forgotten some of these things that I opened up my point trying to remind them of like when you killed a 16-year-old kid. So when you don't include that kind of like, that's like I said, I'm disappointed Maggie didn't say, you forced a woman to be your wife so that she could have her insulin that she needed, you know? Like, come on, what are you trying to get me to think about you here? You're a monster.
Yeah, I guess there's also the question of what Maggie knows and what Maggie doesn't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's true.
The thing that's always going to be like most important to her is what happened to Glenn. I feel like as much as she's like compassionate as all humans are to like, you know, the suffering of other people, for Maggie, it's always going to be Glenn. And it's about that.
Sure. But now she's trying to figure out, well, I mean, you know, who was it? Was Elijah or asking her, has he actually changed? And she said, I don't know. And are you going to keep that promise that, you know, she won't come after him after this? Well, I hope I can keep that promise. So she's hoping that he's changed. And I think that encompasses a lot of things, not just what he did to Glenn. You know, it's just the kind of person he is and what he may do to the other people that she cares about too.
Yeah. I also think with Negan, there's this kind of solipsistic kind of self-sabotaging sometimes, almost. You know, he says to Maggie, we had a good day, you and I, and then he kind of really pushes her to the limit. Like, he's not good at knowing not to push things, and he's really, really pushing it there. And I just, I think I didn't read it quite as, I don't know, quite as undistilled, maybe, but it was an interesting scene and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it, and I thought it brought up some interesting points, none of which make what he did before acceptable.
Yeah, I was just frustrated because I'm like, oh, here he goes again, trying to get everyone on his side and leaving out all the things that go against this argument he's making. So it was, I hate this storyline. I'm like, can we just get past this so I don't have to talk about it anymore? Okay.
How would you like to get past it? Like, what do you think could happen that would make it over?
I feel like at this point, if I was them, I would banish Negan like they did in the comic. I don't necessarily like that for The Walking Dead, given that Negan is a central character, and I do enjoy watching him on screen for the most part. I mean, I don't enjoy this storyline of people of the show trying to bring us around to having sympathy for him, because I don't. But I'm okay having characters in a show that I don't have sympathy for. Sebastian is one. So I feel like in the comic they banished him, and that felt good. And then they came back to him a couple of times in some really interesting storylines that I liked. So that's one option. I don't know, but I mean, like you said that he pushes it too far with people. I love that about him. It's fun to watch, you know, like, oh, what did you just say? Come on. Like in the comic, he did that even more, you know, I mean, if someone was like that in your life, you'd want to punch him in the face, but it's really fun to watch on TV. So there's, you know, things about him that are really fascinating and interesting and fun and engaging to watch for sure.
Well, there were bits about his and Maggie's interaction that I had down as one of my points. Just that I straightforward enjoyed, to be honest.
That's fine. Cool. I think a lot of people did. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the way that we start off the episode with Negan in kind of negotiation mode is really interesting. And he aims big. He's like, we'll never be even. No, he's like, you know, I want to be even. And Maggie's like, obviously not. And he's like, well, you know, whatever near even, you know, I can not look over my shoulder kind of thing. So he's got, you know, he's still not out of the danger zone and he knows it. And I thought that was really, really interesting.
That's what he wants. He wants to be a part of this community. He's wanted that for a while. And he feels like this one person wants to kill him. So he's trying to figure out how to get it out of that so he can stay in the community and not have to worry about Maggie, you know?
Yeah. I laughed out loud at him keeping his mask for practical and sentimental reasons and thought Jason will hate this or love this.
I loved it.
It will be one or the other.
And also, I mean, back when the Whispers were a part of the story, I was thinking they should keep a few of these around just for situations like this. So I think it's actually really smart.
Yeah. Well, he's the first person in this universe to be like, oh, maybe the method that our enemies used was sensible, and actually, yeah, there's benefits to this. Maybe we could actually use that. That's kind of cool. And obviously not with that attitude, was just very well delivered. That really made me laugh.
Absolutely. What did she say? That this is not fun, and well, not with that attitude.
And
that totally reminded me back to his coach days. I'm sure he used that line on his kids a lot, you know?
Yes, yeah, coach. And the kind of, it's never going to fit properly. Well, it was someone else's face. So, you know, it also really highlighted how gross being a whisperer is, which I thought was quite funny. But yeah, I thought the fireside scene was interesting. Something I did notice was that he calls Maggie Ree. Like, he calls her by her surname, her Glenn surname, and I was like, oh, that's quite nice.
Yeah,
even though he killed him.
That's another coach thing. Yeah, right.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's so emotional. It's a shame you killed him. And this idea of like, we can't debate levels of cruelty. I think Maggie says that to him. I thought was very, very interesting. But I'm optimistic, probably stupidly, that once this whole horde thing plays out, we might at least have Negan and Maggie separated for a bit. That would be good to just not have to go through this every week. But yeah, it was the most I've liked the two of them in an episode together since this season started. I think this was the best kind of interaction we've had so far in terms of not being super duper one way or the other. I thought this is actually quite enjoyable to watch, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, all the stuff where he taught her how to be a whisperer, I thought was awesome. And yeah, Maggie said, this is not fun. Well, not with that attitude. And he sets up this obstacle course with the ropes and everything, and to train her, and that she was lousy at it and her mask got loose and she couldn't see. And he made a joke about it. But he was encouraging, you know, we'll fix it up and try it. You did good, Maggie. Like,
yeah. And she's like hating the fact that she needs that praise at that point. Right. She's just like, oh, this is the worst.
But it was another great thing about that is, you know, a lot of the tension between Maggie and Negan in the storyline where they're going to get food for their starving people and being attacked by the Reapers is that one reason she stays in it with him is that she feels like she needs him, and she denies it here, but she does. And, you know, that's why she shakes on it, that she'll let everything go with Negan if he stays and helps rather than takes off, and because she thinks she needs him. And then he actually does prove useful as a zombie coach, you know, here's how to walk like a zombie. So yeah, I enjoyed that part of the story a lot. That was actually one of the reasons why I like this episode. The only part I did not enjoy was the whole conversation of him trying to explain himself to her or be understood or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's sort of like, Negan, you had a good day, can it?
Yeah, like, just leave it at that. Come on,
you shook on it. It's fine. Yeah, you've not been murdered today. Let's chalk this up to a win, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Yay! Right. Well, I had Negan as one of my points, but what I'll do is for my number 4, just a short point that I thought Josh McDermott knocked out of the park this episode.
Yeah.
He's really growing on me for various reasons. I've never been that into Eugene as a character.
Me neither.
But yeah, Josh McDermott was brilliant in this episode. I thought we talk a lot about how much Gabriel has changed, but Eugene has changed too. And you can tell, one of the things I like best about watching Josh McDermott as Eugene deal with Zeds is that you can see it's still hard for him. And that's cool, because I think a lot of the time when we see people on the show murdering the zombies or attacking them or whatever, it looks super easy and super kind of intuitive to them. But with Eugene, you see him kind of go into the mode of having to deal with it, and we know how difficult it was for him to kind of get over his cowardice and be able to be this kind of stronger, more warrior-like man. And I like that. I like that it's not played as like he's suddenly the Terminator. It's like, yeah, it's something that he's had to work hard at. And I thought it was really sweet seeing him and Stephanie sort of talking about kind of having to get back into that zone of clearing the walkers. And the way that he really sticks up for Stephanie with awful Sebastian was really endearing. And that sense of him sort of falling apart at the end when he's in prison. I literally wrote in my notes, this is the most I've ever liked him, to be honest. And obviously cliffhanger, will he tell them where Alexandria is? He might. We've seen Eugene do shitty stuff when cornered before. But what's his way out here? Like, how do we know? So yeah, Josh McDermott knocking it out of the park, and I'm really intrigued. I love that the Commonwealth has become really Eugene's storyline in a lot of ways, and he's really carrying it. I think the Commonwealth stuff really, really lifts the episode.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for Ezekiel. I wish he would get more to do. Got a little bit this time, but
Ezekiel got a lollipop and was high AF on painkillers, so Ezekiel's having fun.
Nice to see. That's right, he was high on painkillers. Yeah, I agree with all that about Eugene. I mean, I guess I've been okay with this character. I haven't like hated him, but the dialogue just takes me out of it a lot of the time. And but for some reason, I feel the same as you. That this Commonwealth story, I probably liked him more than anything else. Probably even going back to him talking to Stephanie on the radio. I enjoyed that stuff too, for the most part. Like when he sung the Iron Maiden song, that really
great.
got me. Yeah.
Oh, so good. I rewatched that episode at double speed when we were prepping for this season. And I forgot that he sang. And I was like, it's like, ooh, it's like the country version. It didn't sound terrible. Yeah, no, he's doing really well. I think taking him out of the kind of community that he's been with for so long has been really good for him, both as a character and as a kind of a presence on the show. So yeah, I love it. I think they just cast the Commonwealth storyline really well. And I enjoyed seeing Ezekiel and Princess as well. And Princess just not putting up with Ezekiel's kind of macho bullshit, being like, Ezekiel, I love you, but you gotta give me space. And I was like, yes.
Or he goes, she's like trying to get him to get medical help. Don't be stupid.
Yes.
Yeah, I said it. They got real hospitals and shit here. And then he goes, if this becomes another debt we have to work off. And then she's like, I've never been afraid of hard work. Kind of anti-friends who die from stubbornness, though.
Yeah.
So that was cute.
It was great. So that was one of my kind of happy points for this one. So that was my number 4.
Okay, I will talk about you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. So that's sort of a sentiment that can be applied in any group, but I think the point here is the Commonwealth is so big and complicated and stratified by class that you can play the politics of situations, and that's what Lance Hornsby. He's a wheeler dealer. He's good at playing angles and stuff. So it's trying to figure out. I think some of what he's doing to me seems pretty clear, but some of it's a bit of more of a mystery. I still think that Stephanie worked with him to deliberately put our people in a position where they would, break the law, get caught, and then he would offer to get him out of it so they would owe him.
Yeah, I think that, I would agree with that.
But this episode also made me feel like he had this other plan, this bigger plan in mind where he set it up so they could pay their debt by clearing Zeds from an area where the Commonwealth wants to expand into. And then he deliberately sent them into where he knew Sebastian, Pamela Milton's son, was, and arranged it so that Mercer was distracted somehow, his private security, so Eugene would save them. Because later he's like, what happened? You could have been a hero. You could have asked for anything. So, like, you could have asked for anything to me says, yeah, Lance wanted Eugene to be a hero who could ask for anything and also owe Lance a favor because Lance set this whole thing up to get them out of being banished.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's his plan for all that.
Because he's a man who deals exactly as you say in those kind of favors and back and forth and things like that. And yeah, no, I would agree with that reading. And it's funny, between that and Sebastian, I think we're looking at like Game of Zeds right now, because we've got the horrible king boy thing, and then we've got I don't know who's Lance, Littlefinger maybe, I don't know, Lancey Finger, shall we call him? So yeah, it's interesting. I agree with that reading. I think that makes sense. I was a bit fuzzy on what Lance was up to, but thought it was interesting that he and Mercer came in. I'm wondering what Lance's agenda is. I'm wondering if he's kind of looking to advance himself. Yeah,
I mean, that's the part that's a mystery to me. I mean, another angle he's playing is with Yumiko. The simple part is just, hey, your friends are in trouble, but I'm helping them. So, and he sees that she's destined to be in a high place, and she's like, she's like, there must be something in it for you. He's like, a friend in high places. Someday I might need a favor and you might be favorably inclined. But also there's this thing where her brother got taken away by the soldiers, and he seems to have arranged that. And he says he'll be home tonight. That's how much time I need. So I'm like, well, what is is it just that she's also, that Hornsby is also holding that over Yumiko's head? Like, I'll help your brother if you help me. Or is there something else going on with the brother, And they didn't even give the pretext of why the soldiers dragged him away either. So I feel like there's a bit of a mystery, or at least I'm not totally clear what's going on with all that.
I thought that Tommy had been taken away, and I thought he might have treated Ezekiel, but I don't know. Because I think Yumiko's gotten him in the deep shit by telling them up front that he
right. Yes.
That he's a thoracic surgeon. So I did wonder. It seemed
right,
coincidental, but it was played as more sinister, so I don't know.
No, I bet you that's it. Yeah. And one thing I don't quite get is, why is Tommy so insistent about not wanting to be a doctor? Is it just what he said to her, that he likes the simple life, or is it something else? Because he seems really freaked out by it, and it is, I guess, a little sinister that if they know he's a doctor, then they're going to force him to do it. But on the other hand, it seems a little selfish too. Like, God, they could really use some doctors here,
Maybe he's heard what happens to all the doctors in Alexandria, and is like, do you know what? I'd rather be alive.
We're on The Walking Dead, Yeah.
He's like, shh, they'll kill me off next episode.
But there's a couple more things with him. I do wonder if there's something in particular he wants. He seemed really threatened when he found out that Yumiko, or at least put off that she went to try to make an appointment with Milton versus, I was helping you or whatever. So maybe there's a rivalry between the two of them. Maybe he's not in good stead with Milton, or maybe he just simply wants to try to take over the whole place.
Yeah, it feels like there's maybe a bit of vying for the power here, because the Miltons seem to really have a monopoly, and it's interesting that with Sebastian being such an absolute tool, one can't help but wonder if people are really happy with the Miltons in power.
Yeah, Mercer, if I was Mercer, I wouldn't be so happy with that situation. And then
more Mercer.
Last on this is, Hornsby keeps demanding, Lance Hornsby, that Eugene tell him where his people are. And I was like, well, why don't you tell him why you want to know? Or I thought it was pretty sketchy that he wouldn't directly confirm that Eugene's people would be safe if he told him where they were. So I don't know. It feels like with this Commonwealth story, there's been a couple situations where they withhold stuff just to try to make it feel more dramatic. And maybe that's what this situation is too, or maybe they do have some nefarious purpose in mind.
It's hard to know. I hope we find out soon, though, because it's the most interesting storyline at the moment.
It is to me, not just because I think it's really well done, but it's new. It's something different, And after 11 years, it's really refreshing to me.
Yeah, it's putting my brain into new places. Like, all joking aside, that kind of political stuff is interesting, because we haven't had that. Like, people have been generally things have been run by committee, or Rick just comes in and shoots everyone and it's fine. Those are the two systems of government in The Walking Dead. So I think between this and a bit of what we get in World Beyond, I have to say, actually, I'm more interested in the Commonwealth than I am in the CRM, so I'm happy to kind of stick with it.
Yeah, I guess I am too, but it's fairly close. I'm interested in the CRM more as a concept versus maybe how they're handling it in World Beyond. But I guess I agree with you.
Yeah. My number 3 was Miko in the Commonwealth, which was a lot of the same points. I thought it was sickening and appropriate that obviously she's getting major favoritism because she is a Harvard graduate, and Ms. Milton obviously is too. And it's just so interesting to see that kind of crap matters, even years into the apocalypse. That kind of dissonance of that suddenly being important is just wild. And yeah, I don't understand why Tommy is so reticent about being a doctor. He seems to be loving life. You get a little bit of stuff about their dad and him putting pressure on them both. However, I think Yumiko might realize that she really screwed up by telling the guards what his profession was when she said that her brother was in there. So I think that's probably going to come back and be a cause of conflict.
She doesn't bother to bring that up with him. Oh, I already told him during my interrogation.
Yeah. Funny story. What? I told them. I thought I was listening to the how do I say it, the tannoy announcements, and just as Tommy's getting pulled away, you hear someone over the tannoy. It's a kind of running advert or something for the Commonwealth, and it says that's the Commonwealth way, and I thought that was a really cool bit of sort of direction and juxtaposition. Miko and Lance is interesting. He's obviously not very happy with her for going over his head. She's got concerns. That makes complete sense. And I think Eleanor Matsura is doing a really good job of selling how strange it would be to be in a world of home comforts again. So like smelling the bakery, sitting with this book of like Tuscan holiday villas you can go to or used to be able to go to. She
seemed to be kind of enamored of that though, I thought. Like, oh my gosh.
Well, she's probably been.
She's probably books.
Yeah. And that kind of reverence for just a completely different time was interesting. And I thought she had an interesting little interaction with Pamela Milton's secretary, who seemed interested in how everyone was doing. And
curious.
That's all I shall say about it.
Concerned.
Curious. Concerned even. So yeah, I thought that Commonwealth, Miko, great, loved it.
Yeah, she's offered sparkling water, espresso, or herbal tea. I think
amazing.
they're doing all this stuff with just a return to the former luxuries and everything good and bad that comes along with that really well. But I also liked that the meeting with Pamela Milton got postponed and we still haven't seen her. They're really building it up in a way that they didn't do in the comic and drawing it out that I think is smart, because she's like the president of the United States. You can't just get a meeting, it's not that easy. And the show is making that feel more like, oh wow, she's really important. It's like I'm thinking of her as this important person and we haven't even seen her yet. And I'm also like really curious to meet her now more than I was before. So that's interesting.
But she's the last big reveal for the show, really. Like, do you know what I mean? This is the last big arc from the comics, and it deserves the kind of pomp and circumstance that it's getting.
All right, let's move on to our favorite part of the story, the Reapers.
Oh, I just don't care why.
Let's just quickly, I know. So
yeah, no, it's fine. Let's do it.
Like Daryl and Leah going and they find this poor guy who's staying with his injured wife and a son, and she's injured pretty badly, and Leah calls Pope. What should we do? We found these people. We don't know if they're with the group we're looking for or not. I'll just kill him. Of course, that's what he's going to say. And so then the wife seems ready to die, and it kind of gives Daryl the okay, because she doesn't like that their family is staying there where they could be in more danger. And so I think that's what makes Daryl feel like it's okay to kill her, because she seems to be giving the okay, but still, it was a little shocking. I don't know. I thought it was a bit of a gimmicky thing. The part that killed me the most was when the mom told the son to go with the dad, and I knew that was the last time she would ever see him. That stuff just kills me.
The kid was surprisingly cool about it.
All right.
He was like, all right.
Nice knowing you,
I was
Mom.
like, oh, okay, bye. It reminded me of Dale's death, because Daryl stepped up and killed Dale as kind of a mercy killing. And I think I read this in a review as well, Daryl recognizes a mercy killing when he sees one. Like he knows when, because he's a hunter, because he's a tracker, he kind of knows, okay, this is, that she's not going to survive. This is the kindest thing to do.
Also, you can't, we don't know how bad the wound was, but it's also the situation. Maybe if she was like at the Commonwealth, they could fix her up and save her life. But here, Daryl knows he's in a bad situation, so this is the best he can do.
Yeah, and she made it very easy, as easy as it could be.
Yeah, right. But another thing I gleaned from the whole Reaper part of the story is it sounds like maybe they don't just go around killing everyone they meet like I thought. Leah was talking about how the Reapers took over Maggie's place, and she said, we needed a place, we found one, you can fill in the rest, you got something to say about it? And then Daryl says, well, you won, why keep hunting? And she goes, well, we got to make sure they don't come back. So that's why I say it's kind of like the Saviors, except instead of letting their enemies live, they went back and tried to kill them all so they don't come back and get them, like Negan made that mistake, I guess. But anyway, it sounds like they just killed Maggie's people just because they had this place and supplies and stuff. Because I thought maybe their MO was just to kill everyone they meet, but now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, they seem to be more focused than that, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, I say interesting. I thought it was notable.
Notable, yeah. It was vaguely, kept me from falling asleep.
It was better than looking at a wall.
Yeah, there you go. All right, anything else?
Well, my number 2 was the Leah and Daryl storyline. Daryl's really, I mean, does anyone doubt that he's still with the main team? You know, he's checking out where the food storage is. He's interested in the scouting party being back. As far as we know, Frost didn't sell him out because he's still standing and he's still there. I got very distracted. What's up with Pope's hat? I really hate that hat. It's like a baseball cap, but it doesn't have a lip. But it's also like a beanie hat. Is this a common kind of hat? Like, where did he get this hat? Can people tell me more about what it is? It's once you've noticed it, it's really annoying because Peter was like, that's a baseball cap without a lip. And I'm like, no, it's not. And then I noticed it and I was like, God damn it. I can't concentrate now. I'm really distracted by where he got his hat. So Pope's really losing his cool, which is interesting.
I think it's like a fisherman's, wool cap that you fold the bottom part up a little bit.
But do they always have the baseball thing at the back?
There's a baseball. What baseball thing?
I don't know how to describe it. Like, you could put your ponytail through it if you had a ponytail.
Oh, it has
like
one of
how
those?
you seal them up. Yeah.
Oh, that is weird. Never seen that before.
It is weird, isn't it?
He should die.
Why? He should get killed off immediately. Elijah does say he wants the one when he's talking about getting revenge, and I wondered if Elijah is being set up for a kind of Pope standoff. This episode's probably the most I've liked Leah, because I liked seeing that bit of kind of humanity to her when she couldn't bring herself to kill the mum and when she let the dad and the kid go. But I still find her quite flat and sort of one-dimensional. I thought it was interesting that Daryl nearly sort of confides in her, but they're interrupted, and I wonder how that is going to play out ultimately, if that moment of softness is going to be a longer running thing, or if Leah is going to kind of defer back to Pope and that's going to be her ultimate loyalty.
That's the question, I suppose.
So yeah, it was, like I say, it was fine. It just wasn't the most exciting part of the episode for me. I found it dragged a little bit on a second watch.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't horrible. It was fine. But I mean, the part where Leah didn't shoot them and then Daryl did, it felt like, to me, it pulled me out of it. It was like I could just picture myself in the writer's room and they're going, how are we going to spice this scene up? But I guess it was about, it was about having Daryl witness Leah show some compassion so that he wouldn't totally have his mind made up about her and he's struggling with whether to open up to her or not. So that's cool.
I felt that it was the closest thing to him showing her affection. Like, I feel like he, in Daryl language of like throwing fish at doors and stuff, that was probably his way of showing, I don't know, of doing something, I don't want to say nice for her, because murdering someone isn't necessarily nice, but it was, he stepped up, whether it was for Leah's sake or for his own, I don't really know, but it was I believed it as a character beat.
Mm-hmm. All right. My next point is We Are the Whisperers, which we've talked a lot of. I mean, I agree with you. I think it's cool that they picked up this tactic and decided to use it. And the only other time I can think of where they've done something like that is the first time we saw a place surrounded by spiky things was in Clear with Morgan. And then we saw them use that a lot later on, but I can't think of any other time where they've like used something from an enemy or something like that. They didn't
Which seems silly.
People or anything.
But I mean, that less so, but yeah.
But it was interesting that it worked so well. They round up some Zeds. They're on the march. I guess it's easier to, they got even more later, which I thought was really cool. They let some out. Maggie knew where they were, I guess. But it's interesting that I guess it's easier than you'd think to, if you just put on a whisper mask to direct herds of Zeds.
There's some questions.
My favorite moment, though, was when Elijah found his sister.
Oh, that was sad.
It was so sad. Not favorite, like, oh, that was so cool, but it was just so impactful. And it's the kind of thing I love about zombie stories, when it's tragedy, like, oh my God, that person was someone I loved, and now look at them. But then it was even more heightened because he couldn't show his emotion or else it could endanger him. And so he had to try to keep it. That was very well played, the way they showed it. You could just feel his emotion, even though he had to try to keep that zombie walk going. And I think it was Maggie sees and reaches out and held its hand. That moment just was really well done. It felt kind of like a bit of a Sophia in the barn moment to me.
I think it was really good. And the thing that made me like it even more was they had a moment at the start of the episode where they're like, oh no, that zombie used to be his sister's friend, and it didn't really land for me. I was like, ugh, we're not going to care about that person, we've never met them, why are you trying this? But I felt that the scene towards the end of the episode, the one you're talking about, it did land, and it was played really well and quietly. And I'm also glad that it didn't end up being like, I don't know, no, oh my God, no, and then everyone,
and they all converge on him.
I was like, good on you, Elijah, good on
point.
you.
yeah I agree. I'm glad they played it just the way they did. And then they got this huge horde of Zeds storming towards the Reapers and Maggie's old place. I love it. I don't care that it seems unlikely. It's zombies, so whatever they can. But I do sort of think, I don't know if I'd want to be in a big pack of Zeds heading towards this heavily armed group of militants, because they might just pick you right off.
What if you sneezed as well? This is another thing I always think about with the Whisperers, is I'm like, what if you sneeze or you fart or you burp or something, or you like, I don't know, stub your toe and you're like, fuck.
They have those
you'd be dead within minutes.
What do you call it with it? Clothespins underneath the mask?
Clothes pegs, yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how that turns out next week. All right.
Well, my number one is just, seemed to be good setup for the next episode. We've got the Horde coming towards Meridian. We've got Eugene in a cell at the Commonwealth. We're waiting to see what's happening back in Alexandria.